So I fucked up my eye. The details of that are not important. But I fucked up my eye, and the doctor said I'm basically going to be useless for about a week. No looking at computers, no looking at phones, no reading. Nothing that could strain the eyes. Which isn't a problem. At this point, a few days ago, I couldn't even open my eyes, much less read anything. Much less see anything for more than a fraction of a second at a time. But that creates a problem. What am I going to do with all that time that I can't see? So I call up my sister, and I cajole her into letting me use one of her Netflix accounts. And I ask her if she can just put it on a bunch of documentaries and leave it at that. I mean, I can't watch anything, I can't see anything, so I'm just listening to it like it's a podcast. And that's how I came to be sitting here in the downstairs basement, listening to this Netflix series called The Most Hated Man on the Internet. Now, my first reaction when I heard The Most Hated Man on the Internet was, who paid to put a documentary about Chris Chan on Netflix? She doesn't need that bullshit in her life. But, to my relief, and to my confusion, The Most Hated Man on the Internet is not about Chris Chan. It is instead about another uniquely odious piece of shit named Hunter Moore, and his website called IsAnyoneUp.com. IsAnyoneUp.com was not just a revenge porn site, it was, for a while, the revenge porn site. And Hunter Moore was not just a piece of shit, for a while, he was the piece of shit. Being as this website was not just a revenge porn site, but the revenge porn site, titillation was not the only goal. Underneath a number of the profiles of these scantily clad and nude women were links to their social media, left by jilted exes, or, in some cases, just stolen from them. That is the contention of this documentary. And that is the thing that Hunter Moore was eventually convicted of and imprisoned for. That is, stealing illicit images from different people. And so I'm sitting here in my pajamas at 11:30 at night, not even watching, listening to these accounts of people who say that their emails were hacked and their pictures were stolen, and now people are sending them the threats that they're going to get raped and killed, and the victims of these things are treated with so little sympathy and so much contempt, and it's like, dudes really hate women. Dudes really hate women. And first off, contextually, something like Gamergate makes a lot more sense now. You have this entire audience of people who is just primed and ready to attack any woman on sight, like women are a threat to their lives and well-being. And if something like Gamergate makes a lot more sense, then contextually something like the nascent Trumpist movement of fascist clowns, or the incel movement, or the pickup artist movement also make a lot more sense, because these dudes just hate women. They hate them. It's not even that they don't view them as people. It's that they don't view them as people, and they still hate them. It's like the existence of women is offensive to these dudes, and it's baffling. I would be willing to suppose that the people who are on this website specifically are part of the group that makes up the backbone of the incel movement at this point. Because of course these dudes are going to be complaining about not being able to get women on their side. They fucking hate women. You're staring it right in the face. And I'm embarrassed that I didn't know about it. And, like, maybe that's the thing I need to contextualize, too. You know someone who's been the victim of sexual assault, right? Even if you don't think you do, you do. I would say that 4 out of every 5 people I know have been the victim of serious sexual assault. That's men and women, all the people I know put together. That's one of the reasons that sexual assault is such a serious thing for me. I know those people. Those are my friends and my family. You're hurting those people. There are millions of people who are put up on this site, quite a few of them without their permission or knowledge. And when I say without their knowledge or consent, I don't just mean people who had their images stolen. The purpose of this website was not just titillation, but humiliation. That these people had these images put up against their will was part of the point. There's another pernicious aspect to it, too, that occurred to me as I was listening to it. This Hunter Moore guy, he's just the biggest piece of shit. He is not just a piece of shit, he is the piece of shit. I know I already said that, but it needs to be stressed again. Constantly, when he asked to defend the existence of this website intended to humiliate people, Hunter Moore says that it existing is reason enough for it to exist. And I don't mean that in a high-minded, oh, does this thing deserve to exist? Isn't that its existence exists enough to justify? No, I don't mean it like that. When asked straightforwardly, how can you sleep at night knowing what you're doing? He says, because I want to do it. And specifically the language he uses, and the way he phrases things, reminds me of people who look to, how do I phrase this? Trigger the libs. They show throughout the documentary that he specifically talks about wanting to do things because they're outrageous. He specifically talks about wanting to do things because people won't like them, or because people will get upset. And we need to contextualize this again. This is up to and including threatening to rape and kill people's children. My mind is sort of drawn to the kind of people who are in that sort of sphere now. People like Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder, who do outrageous, terrible shit just because they know that it'll upset people. And that's not something that will be surprising. The shittiest possible people were associated with Hunter Moore at the time. This is 2012, 2013. People like Jeffree Star, people like Keemstar, just the shittiest possible people you can imagine. And it's the shittiest possible people you can imagine who are carrying on that torch. This whole thing, watching this whole thing play out, really emotionally affected me. This was happening alongside my formative years on the internet, when I was figuring out what the internet was. I was nowhere near this shit. I was shitposting on The Escapist back in 2012. And it's just like, even though I wasn't part of that, right? I feel responsible for it. Because that's my internet too. Even if I didn't go there, even if I didn't and wouldn't have participated in that, it still happened while I was there. And I don't know. I don't know.